Check, check. Excellent. Hello and good morning. I wanted to talk to people today just about the psychological side of trading. Particularly when following signals, people seem to think that following signals, they're automatically going to be profitable, they're automatically going to be winning. You'll find that sometimes following signals, you could do absolutely everything right and you can still lose while the trader remains profitable, and you're there scratching your head going like, just how does this work? It doesn't make sense. Or perhaps the Discord groups that you're following or Telegram groups that you're following to find these signals, they're showing insanely high percentages each month, and you're trying to understand why it's all profitable whereas you're losing money, and yet you're doing everything right. And when you ask, when you're asking in the chats for help, go, I'm doing everything right. What am I doing? Why am I not profitable? Oh, it's a scam. It's this. It's that. And the only response you ever get back is, you must be doing something wrong. Okay. People can't explain it on the fly because they don't think about it, because the signal is profitable. Why aren't you profitable? Okay. I mean, it's not necessarily your fault. Okay. Sometimes it's just the trade itself. And I want to jump into that. Sorry, I'm rubbing my eyes. I'm a bit tired doing this. I want to jump into it, okay, because sometimes it is what you're doing that's wrong, but it's not necessarily you doing it. It's just the way you set the trade up. Okay. As we get into that, I have to explain that there is two different types of trading. Okay. And you've got a percentage style, and you've got a risk reward style. So this here that you can see here, this is a risk reward style trading. So if I'll risk 1R and I will get 12.7R back. Okay, if the trade plays out, that's the plan. Okay, so for example, let me write this down for you. If I was to do this, okay, 12.7, okay, and I've got oh, hold on, what's going on there? Ooh. Said hello. I don't know why it's did that. Oh, that's a bit confusing. Hold on, let me start again. Okay, don't know why I did that. I was testing that out before I set this up. Okay, I was going to look so cool, and I just flopped that hard. All right, so if I've got £10, right? Okay, and on this, let's have a look here. Okay, so I've got £10 on this that I'm risking. Okay, so I will get £120 back. Okay, this is my risk, and this is my reward. Okay, so now that we understand that, that's quite simple, isn't it? Okay, a lot of people tend to follow that style of trading because it's nice and simple. Okay, but what about percentage style? Okay, I'm trying to delete this right, and I'm not very good with this. I've just set this up, so bear with me. I'm trying to select the rubber. There we go. Okay, let me rub this out. Okay. By the way, I'm not a video editor, so this will most likely still be in the video. So you can all have a laugh at me and watch my struggles. Okay, come on, give me the pen. You can't see what I'm doing here. It just looks like I'm doing nothing, but reality is I'm tapping my screen, trying to select. I add it as well then. It's not very... Come on. Oh, this is terrible. Okay, so... Let me... Come on. It just doesn't want to load up. That's the annoying thing. It was working fine just now before I actually started recording. Like, it was doing what it was meant to be doing. There we go. Okay, and then that's one bit. There we go. Okay, so that was the risk reward style. Okay, let's have a look at the percentage style. So the percentage style is, say for example, on the risk, you're happy to risk 2%. Okay, so from that 2%, you need to calculate. Let me try and see where this is. 2%. That's a bit high. It's a bit low, and somewhere in between. Okay, so say this is your entry. You want to risk 2% to the downside. Okay, now it's not wanting to draw. Hello, what's happened here? Oh no, why? Hold on. No, not that colour. And now I'm trying to tap on the screen, so. Okay, this is not how I imagined this was going to go. Not going to lie. Okay, but that's your entry. This is your stop loss. Okay, that's your 2%, and this would be your profit. Okay, so ideally you want to aim for at least a 6% profit. Okay, so you're risking 2% and you're getting 6% profit. Now technically this converts to a 1-to-3 RR. Okay, but here's the kicker. Okay, if for example you want to get a 1-to-3 RR, okay, that 1 R there, so this here, okay, could convert to, say, be a 20% risk. Okay, but that's still 1 R. Okay, so if the price drops 20%, okay, if it goes down here, okay, that's still 20%. Okay, but it's still 1 R. So this is where people start getting confused, because effectively, if you're looking for a 2 to 6% ratio, you want a 60% profit. Okay, but that 60% profit, that's not going to work, because the price, we're talking about spot here. Okay, talking about spot moves. That's this. Okay, so I need spot to move 60%. Now let me show you what that 60% looks like, for example, on Bitcoin. Yeah, no, that was the right tool, sorry. Okay, like this is 17% there. Okay, that is a 60% move. About that, that's $143,000 from 88,000. Okay, that's ridiculous. You're not going to get that. Okay, so even in an RR style trade there, it's not going to do you any good. Okay, let me just sort this out, sort the screen out. Give me a second. Man, I can see why creators get frustrated with this. This is cool, being able to draw on the screen. I did say stream, I meant stream. Part of my ME there, mixing my words up, or sort of not saying my words properly. It's funny. Okay, so now that's all scribbled out. Let me set this up so I can at least do the drawing or writing again when I need to. Okay, so now that we've seen, like, you know, it's not quite the same thing. Okay, it doesn't quite work. So you could have a 3-to-1 that's a 20% drawdown and a 60% markup. Okay, that's not great. Okay, whereas on here, for example, let's have a look. This is a 0.94% move to the downside, and we're looking for an 11% move to the upside, 12%. Okay, that's not bad, to be fair. But obviously this is a futures play. Okay, so you'd be making some good money here. Okay, but what if you followed everything right? Let's swing this back now. Okay, so now that we've understand that there is a small difference here. Okay, let me just read through my notes. Okay, so there's pros and cons to both. Okay, the pros to a risk reward style trading is if you've got a small portfolio and you're first starting out, and particularly if you're doing leverage trading. Okay, so you're trading with 10 times or 500 times. It honestly doesn't matter. It depends on your position. Okay, then a risk reward style trade is probably best for you. Probably with spot trades as well, to be honest, when you're first starting out. Okay, risk reward style is better. Percentage style trading, okay, I love percentage style trading because you know what you're going in for. Okay, you know, it's very simple. You're risking 2% to the downside, so that would be of your total portfolio. Okay, when you're percentage trading, you're doing one trade with your whole portfolio. Okay, so you're happy to risk 2%. If you've got $100, you're risking $2. Okay, and the bonus is if it hits 10%, for example, okay, you've made $10. It's that simple. Okay, that's 10% of your portfolio, and you just keep doing that, and it's incremental gains. Okay, risk reward style is slightly better in the sense of, like, particularly when first starting out. Okay, because you'd risk $1 and you'd make $10. Okay, that's still 10% of your portfolio. I'm probably not explaining this very well. Okay, but yeah, so swinging it back around, now that we understand there is a difference between percentage trading and a risk reward style trade. Okay, signal groups tend to show the total profit made by a trader. Okay, whether that's 60% or 260%, they choose to add a leverage or multiplier or not. So like that 260%, for example. Let's have a look. 260%. Let's add 20% multiplier, or sorry, times it. Let's times that. Okay, anyone know that off the top of your head? I don't. I've got to use a calculator because I'm lazy. So that suddenly becomes 5,200%. Okay, they're not lying, because that's what it is if you used a 20% portfolio. Okay, 20% leverage. I really have to stop mixing my words up here, especially when I'm trying to teach. Okay. Right, let me change that back. Problem is here is it works, but then it kind of goes to sleep. Okay, so now that we understand that they're not lying, they're not making it up, these are the stats. There's a few things you've got to take into consideration here, okay? If you trim your position, if the trader trims their position, all this affects it, okay? Sorry, checking my notes again. Like I sent a long ass post out about this the other day, so it's kind of it's quite difficult to get your head around until you understand what it is. So let's have a look. So our psychological expectations don't understand that it's the sum of all trades. Okay. To measure this performance, we need to deduct that amount by the number of trades taken, whether it's 5 trades or 10 trades, etc. So what I mean by that, okay, is if a trader has 5,000, hold on, is this? Yeah, this is still on rubber mode. Sorry. Okay. If a trader has 5,200%, okay, and he's using 20 times leverage, okay, so we deduct that again, 5,200 divide by this time 20%, or 20 rather, equals, so that's 260%, okay. So let's draw a line under 260%. Okay, from that 260%, now we've got to look at how many trades that trader's actually done. Okay, so this is all theoretical, hypothetical. Okay, if someone gets 260% profit spot, one trader each month, bro, get copy trading. Like, that's a good trader. You know, I've seen some good trades. Excuse that, Mark. Anyway, right. So they've got that 260%. Okay, we'll go from that. You've got to divide it by the amount of trades. Okay. So, for example, that 260. Say the trader's done 15 trades that month. Okay. 260 divided by 15. Okay, that means what happened there? That just deleted. Okay, he's making on average 17.33% per trade. Okay, this isn't gonna. No, that's fine. Okay, so he's done 17.33% per trade. Okay, I'm gonna sneeze. Excuse me. Oh, sorry, that took me a minute just to wet my whistle. Okay, so if he's averaging a 17.33%, okay, over 15 trades, not all of them 15 trades are going to be winners. So say realistically, he's made 260%, okay, over 10 trades. Okay, so now he's made 26%, okay, per trade. Okay, so if you've got £1, okay, let's make it simple, okay, and you've won on 10 trades at 26%, okay, so that'll be £1 plus 26%. You've made now £1.26. That's all you've made. £1.26. Doesn't look good, does it? But that's that 26%. Okay, so now you do this over 10 times. So let's add 0.26 times 10 equals $2.60. Okay, so that is we're doing here, so from the $1, okay, times the 26%, 10 times, so let's do that times 10 equals £2.60. Okay, it's £2.60. That's all you've made. Okay, but say for example, right now he's got 5 losing trades. Okay, so from those 5 losing trades, okay, let's say let's say he's doing an RR style system. So for every 1R, you know, actually no, we keep it simple, okay, because I'm working off percentages. Okay, so say you've got a $100 port. Okay, you're only putting £1 in because that's all really you want to risk. Okay, so is this right? Am I let me just give me a second to recollect. I know where I'm going. I'm just trying to do the maths in my head before I write it out so I don't look completely silly. Okay, right, so he's got 5 losing trades. Okay, now he's risking 1% of his portfolio. Okay, so that would be £1. That's 1% risk. Okay, so that's £5 loss. Okay, from those 5 trades. Okay, so that there, so you subtract the $5 from the $2.60. Okay, that leaves you negative $2.40. But hold on, he's got 260%. You know, like he's got this here, 260% profit. How is he negative £2.40? Yeah. So doing the maths there, you can see how. Okay, he's positive. He's you know, up 260%. That's what they've got. Okay, let me delete this. Okay, so now let's have a look at a risk reward style for a minute. Okay, let me just select this up again. Okay, it seems to be doing a bit quicker now. Okay, so now say they've got 260% profit. Okay, so how do we convert that into a risk reward? Okay, so for this, for example, we will say, excuse the one down the bottom, that's where my hand's on the screen, 260%, we'll turn that into 26R. Okay, we're going to keep this simple. Let me just delete this. So he's got the 26R here. I'll change my colour so I'm writing, please. Thank you. Okay, so if he's made 26R, we'll do the same thing again. So he's had 10 winning trades. Okay, divide by 26, so that's 2.6R average per trade. Okay, so let's write this. Average. Okay, so that means he's got 5 losing trades. Okay, because we'll say over 15 trades. Okay, so divide that 5. Now you're only risking 1R. Okay, that's all you want to risk. 1R. Okay, loss average. Okay, so for this, I don't know why it keeps deleting, sorry guys. Okay, so now he's lost $5. Okay, he's lost $5, but he's made that 26R at the 2.6. Okay, so it's effectively 21. Okay, now the maths isn't completely correct here, okay, because if he's lost $5 but made 26R, he's probably had, you know, a couple more trades. It's more like he's had 31R, so his average would be 3.1R, and then lost 5 trades makes it down to 26R. Okay, but I'm just trying to explain it roughly to people. Okay, a small difference here. Let me select this back, thank you, and then let's change the color so people can see what I'm doing. Change it to white, so I'll make that £26, okay, because that correlates with the 26R. Is add 31R total, okay, so it's the 2.6 minus the 5 equals 26R, £26. Okay, so the risk reward style can be profitable, especially when starting out, if you apply it properly. Okay, compared to the percentage style of trading that I was talking about before, where yes, they've made 260%, but they're still net negative each month. Okay, this is the difference, and this is why when starting out, risk reward, okay, is the best way for anyone to get ahead when starting out. Okay, because the same percentage broken down differently between percentage and risk reward shows that risk reward is more profitable than a percentage style trading. Okay, now this is why it's also important. I'm trying to clear the screen here, so give me a second. This is why it's also important that you understand who the trader is, okay, and how they trade. Okay, because if you try doing an RR style trade when the trader is a percentage trader, it's not going to work. You're going to lose. Okay, if you try and do a percentage style trading when the trader is doing a risk reward, it's not going to work. Okay, you're going to lose. There's no if, buts, who's, or ahs about it. Okay, so you have to understand the style that the trader does. By understanding that style, you set yourself up, okay, because you can be profitable still, okay, with a percentage style trade. Okay, so I've shown you the difference between when you're trying to mix them up, basically. Okay, so when you're trying to turn a percentage style trade into risk reward, it doesn't work. When you're trying to do a risk reward style trade into percentage, it doesn't work. Okay, and I've also shown you how risk reward style trading is better when you're first starting out, okay, to understand and manage your risk. Okay, but then let's take a look at the percentage style trading. Okay, so if we're risking 2%, okay, on $100 or £100, I'm British, okay, so you're risking £2 a trade, okay, on a 2% movement. Okay, so you're not doing a risk reward, you're basing it on a percentage movement. Okay, now because of that, you could go and put, say, £10 on a trade. That's 10% of your portfolio. Okay, so this is 10%. Okay, if you lose, you're only losing that £2. Okay, now if you're gaining, okay, ideally you want to look at least a 6% move. Okay, so a 6% move would equal £6. Okay, nice and simple. Okay, so if you have deleted, sorry. Okay, so if you have 10 winning trades, this is funny. I'll have to figure out a better software for this, but if you have 10 winning trades, okay, at £6 each, really, that's, I have no idea why that keeps deleting. That's £60. Okay, all right. So now you've just gone from 100 to £160. Okay, that's effectively 60%. I mean, that is a 60% increase. Okay, now if you're only losing 2%, okay, and you lose 5 trades, okay, so now you've lost 5 trades at £2, that's £10. Okay, £10 lost. Okay, so then that brings you down to, say, £150, for example. Okay, you've still made 50% profit. Okay, and the difference here that we're talking about, okay, is your position size. Okay, positioning. Okay, it's position size is everything. Okay, because if that was £1, I'd only have made £6. Okay, so if I'd only made £6 and I've lost £10, it's not good. Okay, so you have to manage your position size. Okay, that is so important when you're trading with percentages. Okay, it's important with risk reward as well, but risk reward's simpler. You risk $1 and you make $10, or you risk $10 and you make $100. Okay, it's simple. Okay, you can't get any simpler than that. Okay, but the position size, you can risk 2% of your portfolio. If you only put $1 on that trade and you're happy to lose $2, for example, you get 5 trades wrong, you're not profitable. Okay, so you have to put more on the line here, and that is basically how, even if you're doing everything right and you're following what the analyst is doing, you know, the only thing the analysts don't do is they don't share their position sizes. Okay, that's entirely up to you, and that is where, if you're doing everything they're doing and still losing, it's because you're not understanding the style of trading that you're trying to do. Okay, you're either being too cautious, too optimistic, and it's screwing you up. Okay, or you're just mixing the styles up. It's completely like, how? Okay, so that's how you can lose money whilst all the signal groups are showing profitable. Okay, because you're not doing it correctly, you're not understanding what's going on. But if you ask them, they also 9 times out of 10 can't explain it to you, because 9 times out of 10 the people running the groups aren't traders. Okay, the traders themselves can't answer it because they don't know what you're doing, they don't know your position size or anything like that. So to them, when they're making money and someone's going, oh, I'm not profitable, it's like, really? You know, like, why not? I'm profitable. What are you doing wrong? And then they're like, I don't know, you know, I'm doing everything you're saying. You know, that's how. Okay, you have to manage your risk appropriately, you have to manage your position size appropriately. Okay, you have to understand a risk reward style trade. It's okay to put $1 down to make $10. Okay, but if you're doing a percentage style trade, you can't put $1 down, you have to put at least $10 down. Okay, I mean, you can still risk that 1%, $1, you know, but you have to increase your position size. Okay, so it's a psychological battle and a psychological struggle to really become profitable in trading. Doesn't matter what anyone says. Okay, it doesn't matter how many good people you've got around you, how many negative people around you, who you follow, what you look at, what news you look at, anything like that. You can blame whatever you want, but 9 times out of 10, that's why. Okay, that is pretty much the only reason why you would be negative each month when analysts are consistently profitable, and that's because you're doing it wrong. Okay. Now the other thing is, when you're looking at analysts themselves and you're looking at it now, some people who prefer an R style trade, you know, they'll look at some analysts and they'll see that they've made like, I don't know, 70-80% spot over a month, okay, but their RR is like 0.5. If you're an RR style trader, you never want to trade at 0.5 R, because that's just terrible. You know, it's bad practice. You're going to lose. Okay, but they've made 70-80% profit. Yeah, same as if you're a percentage style trader. Okay, and you see someone's making 40-50 R per trade, you know, but they've only made 40-50%, you know. It doesn't make sense to people, the difference in the correlation between the two different styles of trading. Okay, and so many people shun traders because they don't understand the system that they're trading or the style that they're trading, and they just push them away, they ignore them, they write them off, you know, they're not their favorite analyst. Okay, that's fine. If you prefer RR style trading, follow the traders that you get on with, you know, without a doubt. It's going to be better for you, it's going to be better for them, and it's going to be better for everyone. Okay, but don't shun them, don't push them off just because someone's got lower percentage or R rating than what you like for your personal style of trading. What matters the most at the end of the month is whether they are profitable. If they are profitable, there's no reason why you can't be profitable if you're following them. You just have to understand the style of trading. Okay. So it's like, let me have a look. It's hard to explain. Like, there's a lot of like, you're doing it wrong, you have to understand, you know, it's psychological and that, and I just hope I've kind of got the message across a little bit. I don't want to repeat myself, but you know, my Discord links in my bio. There's plenty of ways for you to contact me. You can drop a message on the YouTube video, ask your questions. For me, I want to see you succeed. I want to see you do well. Okay, now if I do well, excellent, you know, that's on me. But if my videos can help you, drop a like, drop a subscribe, you know, show the support. And like, just if you don't understand the concept, my social links are there. There's a comment section, use it, I will answer. Okay, because it's important for you to get ahead, that you need to understand this stuff in trading. Okay, so now I want to swing back. I've gone in a bit about how it's your fault. Okay, and how you're doing it wrong. Okay, I want to clarify, you're not doing it wrong. Okay, I mean, you are, but you're not. Okay, it's not your fault that you're doing it wrong, is probably a better way to say it. Okay, because no one teaches you this, no one tells you this. This is stuff that you learn from experience, and even experienced traders don't tell you this. Okay, this is pure alpha knowledge that's not out there. Okay, because if everyone wins, who's going to lose? If no one loses, no one wins, because that's the psychology of trading. For me to win, for my trade now right here to go up to my 12.7R target, someone here is trying to short it on the 200-day MA, and they're going to get, you know, if they get liquidated because the price bounces up, I've played it well. They've lost, I've won. Okay, and this is why people don't want to actually help you learn how to trade. Because if you could, there'd be no winners, there'd be no losers. Okay, if you like PvP style games, you'll love trading, 100%. Someone's got to lose for you to win. And as much as I like to say that I'd like to see everyone win, I really would. It's just not possible. Okay, but I'll do my best to try and help whoever I can, whenever I can. And if these videos help, excellent. Okay, the other clarity that I'm trying to basically say, particularly with percentage style trading and when you're losing when everyone else is winning and it doesn't make sense, it's because you're being over conservative with your portfolio. Okay, and that's fine. Okay, it's good to manage your risk. It's good to be conservative of how much you're going to lose. Okay, it's good to acknowledge that. But you also have to understand that being too conservative really does negatively affect you. Okay, like for example, as I explained earlier, if you're trading percentage and you're only putting on £1 for a trade, you know, and you're losing £2 a trade, you're going to lose. You need to put £10 on a trade, yeah, and then your wins will actually win, and your losses, well, it doesn't matter because you've won. Yeah. Now, if you can understand that concept of what I've just said, okay, you know, using correct position sizing, use a hard stop loss, okay, like this. Don't do any of this 4-hour candle close under 84,000, for example. Okay, let's have a look at what that looks like. Okay, I'll do a long and short. Okay, so say you went long here, okay, and you set your stop loss at 84,000, but you're doing a let's make it a bit more realistic on that trend line. Okay, so 83,600. Okay, say you do a 1-day candle close below that move, okay, and you're only targeting here. Okay, look at that, that's a 1.8R trade on a 10% move to the upside and a 5% move to the downside. Okay, but it's on a candle close below, so you only close if it goes below here. Okay, so that's fine. That just means that, like, it's on the candle close. So if it suddenly tanks, right, say it tanks to 80,000, you've got a 1-hour trade now, okay, and you've lost 10% on the downside to make 10% on the upside. These 1-day and 4-hour candle closes below a certain price, they're nonsense. Okay, they're bad for you. And like, it's going to cause controversy, okay, it really is, because a lot of analysts do that. Okay, because they might think to themselves, they go, okay, all right, so it's going to close at 80%, so I want a 4-hour candle close below this price here. Okay, and then if it closes under here, they exit the trade. Okay, now some analysts, they add a DCA, okay, multiple points. Okay, so they've got that DCA there to bring the cost down. Okay, and that's a saving grace in one sense, because that could help resolve you as long as you position accordingly. But that's another video. Okay, that's completely another video about DCA. The point is, those 4-hour 1-day candle close belows, they're going to screw you up. Okay, so if an analyst does that, whatever number he puts, set that as your stop loss, hard stop loss. Yes, you might end up losing more positions, okay, but in the long run it will save more on your portfolio. Okay, because if you're losing the positions at that value, the trade's gone anyway. look for a better entry. Okay, and what I mean by that, okay, let me just sort this out. What I mean by that, okay, is say you've got your entry here, okay, sorry, your position, yes, stop loss is down here on a 4-hour candle close below, for example. Okay, if the price tanks, okay, so if the price tanks down to here, okay, you're out the position anyway. So then if it keeps tanking, because it'll come up, it'll look like it's saving, hit that resistance and tank back down again. Okay, so look for another entry. Okay, so yes, you've got stopped out here on a hard stop loss. Okay, but it's better than being trapped here. Okay, and then you're looking for another entry here and you watch it come back up. Okay, and then all this, excuse the double drawing, is profit. Okay, you've recovered your losses and you're back in profit. Okay, and it's a lot better than watching you go in the negative by 1000% or 100%, all because of a 4-hour 1-day candle close below a certain price. Yeah. Now, I'm also not saying that one particular style of trading is better than the other. Okay, there's pros and cons to each. It depends on the trader. But you don't want to mix the two. Okay, you have to understand how you're trading. Okay, and that's about it, really. I hope this video helps you become better, as honestly, you're not going to find this information anywhere else, really. So yeah, drop a like, drop a subscribe. Thank you very much for watching, and as always, any questions, you know where to find me.